Hello and welcome to Tools and Wardrobe's Kitchen Gardener. Spring is nearly upon us and the gardens are a hive of activity. Really great time of the year. We can say goodbye to those dark and dingy months, but yet still not forgetting that we can still have our last frosts in the south of England up till the end of May. So the only bit of advice I would give you right now is don't be complacent and don't be in a hurry. Timeliness is not earliness, and that is something that my arable farmer has taught me, and he is so true in what he says. So, you know, don't feel like everything has to be sown and grown all at once. We've still got so many more months left for all of that hard work and the sowing and the growing to be done. So just enjoy a bit of preparation in your ground, whatever you're doing. Make sure that your crop rotations are all organised. Make sure you're as sorted out and as organised as you possibly can for this growing season, because once it kicks off we'll be up to our ears in everything again, and you know, wondering why we didn't prepare a little bit better earlier in the year. This tour is basically just to give you guys at home a rough idea of where I'm at. So I'm based in the south of England. Although I'm based in the south and it can be particularly warm down here, we are on an exposed site, so I'm literally on top of one of the Chilterns in Buckinghamshire, so it's very cold and is very exposed. But aside from that, you know, everything's looking pretty good, and let's go and have a tour of the Veg Garden, Glasshouses and the Polytunnels. So we'll do a few close-ups of some of the beds. So all of where the bark chip is, which is the whole perennial bed that scoops round the caged areas. Inside the caged areas where all of the fruit bushes are, that's all been done. So I'm adopting the no dig Charles Dowden approach. So this has all had cardboard laid down to suppress the weeds, and then a thick mulch added on top of it. So there's obviously that way of doing it. I'm yet to get on with doing the beds, but as you can see, it's a very large amount of space, and collecting enough cardboard has taken quite a bit of time. And we just passed Christmas, so I was able to get all of the Christmas box cardboard from everybody and the estate. But everything you know, I'm just going to take it in my stride, do a little bit at a time and just crack on that way. So yesterday, obviously the weather's been absolutely amazing. One of the jobs that I've managed to get done this week is completely weed and strolch. So I use a lot of strolch, which is another organic produce. It's just chewed up grass, but it's absolutely brilliant, apart from the fact that the chickens absolutely love it. So my path gets kind of hidden under all the strolch, but I will give that a clean up a bit later. But the herb beds are looking really bare, but that's not a problem, they're all ready to go. The lemon verbena, I always leave it until first week in April, and then I'll cut it really hard back, so get rid of all of that top foliage, and it will send out new shoots of lemon verbena. But you don't want to hack it before then, because they are extremely tender. A lot of the time I worry if they're going to make it through the winter. So, you know, if you are growing lemon verbena, don't cut it until April. If you're higher up the country, leave it until maybe May, just to be on the safe side. That will shoot out loads of lovely vegetative growth, and then you'll be able to harvest like loads of lemon verbena. It's just absolutely wonderful, beautiful plant herb to have. If you haven't got it, definitely get one. So the pigeons, like always, managed to find the purple sprouting broccoli, and they have quite devastated the crop. But hopefully it's one of those things that I say this every, you know, there's always something on your mind or on a list every single year you never get around to doing, and covering these guys up is one of those. So maybe this year is the year that the new crop that will go in, they will get some protection and not be... Do you know what, the pigeons though, they do go for the leaves, but they don't really go for the actual broccoli heads, which is quite ideal really. So I can still manage to harvest my crops. Leeks are growing really well. Went a bit crazy with the garlic, so we've actually got 5, 6, 7, 8 meters by 5 meters of garlic, which is a little bit crazy, but I mean the rows look absolutely wonderful. and it does look ever so smart. And I do love garlic, and so does the family, so that works out in my favour anyway. We've got a little bit of kale left over, the beet leaves just sort of coming back, a few spring onions that have been overwintering. The mice are always a problem with the spring cabbages. It didn't help as well that I did grow loads and loads of spring cabbages, but the germination rate for whatever reason was really poor. Wasn't particularly happy about it, but there's nothing you can do about it because unfortunately I missed the window for sowing, and so I didn't have many. Normally I grow like 3 times the amount of the rows that I did grow. I think I only grew 4 rows. The mice hit it so hard, and then obviously the frost came along and hit the rest of it, so I'm just going to harvest those and be done with it. Got my tulips, which are starting to poke through. The strolch, happy about that. So they're the cut flower tulips. And the kale, so this is obviously the damage that was done when we hit that, you know, -6, 7. But then you get the lovely fresh growth there. I mean, that would be perfect. And what I'm going to start doing is, if you pinch the tops out, I'll strip all of these, you know, rubbish leaves away, and then you'll actually start getting sprouts, side shoots, which is like you can see here, it's starting to grow on the side, and on the purple over here it's already started to grow. So, you know, they're absolutely lovely. That nicely steamed with your roast dinner on a Sunday. All good. So aside from that, there's a lot of bare beds. The carrots just recently got harvested, all the Swedes have gone. There's a very few amount of parsnips left in the ground. So really been a fantastic year, and all the veg has been used up, and actually the first year we've had very little waste. I'm cloching the rhubarb again, and every year it's just such a delight to see those lovely forced shoots. Really happy, and the flavour is wonderful. I'll give you guys a quick tour in the fruit cage. So we've got the strawberry beds and all that matting's down. This is one of the times that I'm cool with using the Mypex, is for the strawberries. I know a lot of people are against them, but do you know what? Sometimes it does help. I don't like it. It's all under this bed here with the mulch over the top of it, but that's the one bed that I didn't manage to get done this year, so I didn't have enough cardboard to lay down, then mulch over the top. So what I'm going to do, and obviously time's always quite a restrictive thing, so next year that is my project. If you haven't already pruned your currant bushes, make sure you get that done. So that is your winter pruning for your currant bushes. Mine have all been done. I've taken quite a few of the main stems, any crossing over stems, any old ones, because you really don't want any old stems that have been in for more than like 4 years. You want to get rid of them. Try and get it to, you want to try and rejuvenate the plant, so getting it to send out new, fresh, healthy shoots. So yeah, so that applies to your black, red and your white currants. Raspberries, all your autumn fruitings should be cut back to the ground. And then your summer fruiting raspberries, obviously I've left a load of the old canes in and just sort of quelled them all over, so it looks sort of reasonably nice. Then the gooseberries were in here. If you guys watched my previous videos, you'll know that I was really struggling with sawfly. So I think I had in total like 5 attacks by the end of the season, and it was really cold, and they were really out of season as well. But it was just dripping, and to be honest with you, I'd had enough of them. It was just another year where I didn't get any gooseberries, and I just thought, do you know what? Instead of investing in a netted area where I'd have to have like enviromesh put up, I just thought, I'm going to grow strawberries. The family loves strawberries. The kids just absolutely love it. So grow strawberries and everybody's happy. You can never have enough strawberries. Blueberry bed's doing really well. Obviously had to replace a couple of bushes, but all in all, the fruit cage is ready pretty much nearly to rock and roll. This bed had a load of fruits in it, loganberries, tayberries, loads of strawberries and a blackberry at the back, but it just wasn't a great use of space. The plants got a bit too big for the area, and it was just decided that we'd turn this into the cut flower bit. So this was just the one bed I had last year of cut flowers, so now I've got two, and these are actually like 7 by 7 meters, so they're quite chunky sized beds to be able to do stuff. So go put the dahlias at the back because we get hit with a lot of wind, and I found they got a bit smacked at this far end here. So gonna have loads of cut flowers in here, but gonna incorporate a load of veg in with that as part of my companion planting. So in the glass house, we've literally got the last of the microgreens. So I don't grow microgreens all year round. I normally start them in September and finish around the end of February into March, which is bang on this year. And then I just sow a load of veg. So this will be, a lot of this will be early veg planted out. So I get it sown in the glass house. This is a heated glass house. As soon as like the beetroot here is starting to germinate, that then goes straight down to the unheated polytunnel, where it gets a chance to harden off and grow, you know, nice and slowly. It doesn't get dampening off, so it solves that problem. We've got all of the chilies and peppers. They're growing really, really well. Really happy with those. A lot of herbs have been sown this year for the companion planting. So herbs are really good for companion planting, which I will go over in another video. Got loads of cabbages, cauliflowers, so they are all early varieties. Loads of onions growing in different forms, and then I do have a very small selection of my orchids up here, because these ones are quite, not necessarily rare, but they're ones that I really just don't want going missing at all. Lemon tree, pineapple's going really well. It just doesn't look like it's done anything for ages, and I thought it'd go absolutely mad when the light levels started to increase, but it's sort of, I don't know, slowed down a bit, or I don't really know what it's doing. I don't know if it's because I see it every day, you don't notice it, but it's definitely, you know, it's a good sized pineapple, and it's got a lovely top to it, so that would be great for replanting. So that is it for the veg glasshouse. The glass house that I'm in now is called the potting shed. So it's a lovely wooden cedar frame, brick and flint wall, which is perfect because it retains the heat during the winter months. I am fortunate enough to have this as a heated glass house, which obviously works to our advantage when we're sowing the seeds. So this area in here is absolutely rammed with seedlings that we've been sowing since January. So my propagation lady Maggie unfortunately isn't able to be with us at the moment, but from the 8th of March she will be back as part of the team again, which I'm really excited about, because although I manage this area, she does all of the hard work with the sowing, and this year obviously I've had to take her place. So I've been sowing like absolute crazy. So we grow a lot of the flowers or the seeds that we're sowing in here are for the cut flower garden, and also as display beds around the rest of the garden. So we cover quite a large area here with what we sow and grow, but we think it's really important that a lot of what we do, we try and keep it all in-house. So we try and buy as little plants as we possibly can from other places, mainly seeds or cuttings. And I'll give you a quick spin around and take you through some of the bits. I do have a few bits of veg in here, which I'll go through with you guys, and then I'll show you what's behind me, which is where all the potting up and the heat mat is, along with a few dahlias for dahlia cuttings. So we've got the ginger plants. They will be moving out at some point in time. Obviously it's still a bit too cold. They're my stock plants from last year, which will be my harvesting for this year, or sorry, next year, this time next year. So ginger does actually take a long time to grow, but I will be doing a video and I will take you through all of that. Got a load of lemongrass that I've overwintered. They're the plants that I'm going to be harvesting from this year, and then these guys will just really beef up over this next year's growing season. This is all last year's ginger, which grew absolutely amazingly. I'm just waiting for this to cure so it gets like the brown scabbing on the rhizome. That's where the flavour really intensifies, and that should be ready hopefully really soon. And like I say, these are all just the seedlings that we're growing, loads of cut flowers, and then this is the other side of the potting shed, so the original part of the potting shed, where I've got seeds on the heat mats and some dahlias that we'll be taking cuttings from. I'm now in the cut flower garden. I know I did a video quite a long time ago, but it's taken me a while to get my head around doing the cut flowers. I've now started to incorporate those in as companion plantings in the veg garden, but this is more of a dedicated area solely for just cuttings, flower cuttings. So it's taken a while, a lot of trial and error. The propagation lady also helps me manage this area as well, because obviously veg garden is a vast area. We've got polytunnels, so there's quite a lot of everything going on all the time. And it's always good to have a helping hand, especially in the height of the main growing season. So I'll give you guys a quick tour because it's not actually looking too bad, and we're really starting to get some decent production out of it. This whole garden used to be the stock plant, so we've got a lot of bulbs just sort of randomly chucked in here where they've just been put in because we were doing a job, and then they've never been taken out. So I've just sort of left them, apart from the occasional few that you dig up when you're planting plants. But this is sort of a bit of an earlier bed, so I've got my hellebores, I've got a load of David Austin roses, they're absolutely wonderful. We've got Queen of Sweden, Darcy Brussels, mustard wood. So that ends up being, you know, like quite a nice display through the year. I've then got these crazy crab apples, which actually create quite a bit of shade, which is good and bad. They take a lot of moisture out of the ground, which isn't so good. So we've got a load of peonies in and around here, and they flowered beautifully last year, so I'm really excited for this year. Sweet Williams, Achillea. So a lot of stuff I've tried to interplant with bulbs or another flowering plant, so you really maximise the use. So as the, say like with here's a good example, so we've got the Christophii, absolutely amazing spheres of the alliums, and then the delphiniums underneath. So obviously once the alliums are done with, you've got the delphiniums. So you're really, you know, using your space as much as you can, because this garden isn't particularly big. I mean, it's most probably bigger than a lot of people's spaces that have to grow in, but it's very awkward. And then because of the crab apple trees, there's a bit of shade, it's quite a dry soil, so it's actually quite a difficult garden to grow in. Same as with the foxgloves. So we've got foxgloves, and then they're underplanted with your narcissus, your daffodils. And then this bed over here was originally, I just whacked at the very beginning load of alliums in, so we've got loads of different types of alliums, gladioli because I absolutely love them, a load of anemones which are in like full flower. Do you know what, we planted these out and they've been hit with, you know, -6 for that whole week. It was absolutely freezing cold just recently, and they've just bounced back and they're absolutely wonderful. And it's always good when your boss likes what you're growing. So this is, we still use this as very much a stock area, so it will never be this wonderful flowery empty garden. It will always be slightly messy, but you know. And then we've got more roses over here, Honesty, just Verbena bonoriensis. So everything's a bit higgledy-piggledy, but over in the veg garden it's a little bit more formal, straight lines and proper bed styles. So if you guys are wondering what these posts here are doing, I'm going to whack them into the ground, and I've got a load of jute net which is going to help everything stay upright, because last year we didn't have any netting or stakes or anything going on, and everything just ended up on the floor and looking really messy. So this is what we call our Victorian glass house, because it's a Victorian style glass house and it's absolutely stunning. Thankfully, I don't have to work in this area, so this is down to the head gardener and one of the other guys he has working for him. So that takes the stress off of me, because I really don't want to be in charge of every single glass house on the estate. But the one thing that I do when it's this time of the year is I do the displays of my orchids. So I picked up all of these orchids from McBean's, and they're a fantastic supplier. I know Jim done really well, and I absolutely love what he does and the years he's put into McBean's orchids. The orchids are absolutely stunning, and I love the Cymbidium ones. They're really easy to grow, especially in our climate. They're one of the easiest that I've found to grow, and it's lovely to have a really nice display along with all of the blossoming fruit trees that we have got in here. It really makes a nice addition to the glass house. This is the vegetable polytunnel, and we've managed to get a new poly on it this year, along with all of the new woodwork, so that all rotted out. The poly needed changing. It's so much better. And in here, what I've done as well is I've managed to do the Charles Dowden no dig, lay cardboard down, and then we've had Dalefoot compost added on top. So Dalefoot's quite good if you order the 12,000 litres, so they're like the big ton bags. And this is all stuff that I actually sowed last year, so it's just lettuce, salady crops, spinach, beetroot. We've got a bit of carrots that I need to get into the ground pronto for a harvest before the tomatoes go in. But it's nice to have the polytunnel, and hopefully the compost will do us the world of good, because the soil in here is horrendously poor, so we've never really got particularly great tomato crops out of it. And even though we did the grafting of the tomato plants, you know, your soil has to be good quality stuff. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we get some good crops this year. I'm now in Polytunnel 2, so this space is mainly for growing like the peppers, ginger, because it's really hot in the summer months. But during this season where it would not be used at all, I use it as the cold store for everything. So obviously these are my early brassicas that will be ready May, June, which I've sown and grown over the winter months, and then they just sit in here. Same as with like the sweet peas, so I've done a late batch of sweet peas. Broad beans, because you know nothing ever really overwinters particularly well, especially the broad beans in the soil in the veg garden here. And then I've just got a bit of companion planting, herbs. Like I said, I'm trying to grow loads of herbs for the companion planting. Very sad looking sweet peas. I don't know what's going on with them this year, but hopefully they will come right and we'll be getting those in the ground real soon. Like I said, got spring onions, got some kohlrabi, beetroot, spinach, so they're just all nice early crops that you can then just get them into the ground as soon as they're ready. Got the onions in the trays, and then this side over here is just a load more herbs and more stuff for the cut flower garden. So great use of space. And also as well, if you saw me on the Instagram page, I had a table made up in the veg garden, and we're actually going to have another table made for this middle bit here to really utilise that space, especially because that's the tallest part from the top of the hoops. Get the most head space, and especially with some of the chilies and the ginger, it grows so tall it actually hits the side of the polytunnel. So it'd be nice to get another bit of benching going on here, really use that space up. So as you guys can see, although there is an awful lot going on, it's more of the end of projects, a load of weeding, getting your beds prepped ready for your growing, and obviously doing a little bit of seeding as and when you can. Obviously if you've got glass houses or window sills, then obviously there's ample seeding that you guys can crack on with, especially as we now hop into March, because Obviously daytime temperatures are really good. Make sure you keep your seedlings protected over the nights, because that's when the temperature can still drop. But all in all, just take everything in your stride. If it doesn't go right this year, there is always another year, and it's all about a learning curve at the end of the day. And I'm definitely not going to lie, I learn every single year. That's one thing I like about gardening, is that you could be really good at what you do, but you'll never ever know everything. And that's always one thing that I like, especially with veg gardening. It definitely keeps you on your toes. So enjoy all the sowing and growing, and I hope this year goes really, really well for everybody out there who is growing their own produce. And please feel free to leave any questions that you have, that you want to ask me, down below, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I possibly can with my answers. And let's have a really good growing year.